It is an entire different racetrack, and you race it a lot different with the speeds the way they are. It really, you can echo every quote that I had last week, and it's going to somewhat apply to this week. You're going to look at statistics of who's ran here well in the past and race winners and things like that, and it's not really going to matter. It's all going to be very circumstantial to where you're running going into the last stop. To whether you're going to have a shot at a win or not at this racetrack. So we're all learning it. I was quite a bit off yesterday. I felt like, a half a second, which when you're running speeds like this, it's not that much. So we've gotten some of that back today. I feel like we're competitive. We're maybe only a tenth off now to where we need to be, and obviously we're going to keep working on it. So we're getting back to where we need to be this weekend. We're just slowly getting there.
Questions for Denny? We'll take questions. If you have one, raise your hand. Questions for Denny Hamlin? Anybody? Got Jim right there, then Bob, then Mike.
Jim Noble, ESPN. Some of the younger guys have never driven, without safer barriers on the wall, without Hans devices, without all the safety things that make you guys feel good about being in the car. At these speeds, is it good to feel, quote-unquote, bulletproof in the car, or does a driver need some of that antsiness to be safe, I guess?
Well, I mean, we don't feel bulletproof, not at these speeds. You hate to think about what could happen, but running the speeds that we're running at the end of the straightaway, if someone gets turned the wrong way, it could not be good going into turn 1, that's for sure, or turn 3, especially if you get turned heading the wrong way, if you get hooked in the right rear. So anything can happen. We hope it's a safe race on Sunday, but at these speeds, I don't think we've tested these cars at these speeds yet as far as crashes. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how they hold up. But I know that I came in right as safer barriers really were put down just about everywhere. Hans devices were mandatory. And I had a few practice sessions during a race weekend where I've noticed my Hans was not hooked up. And literally, it's like a complete freak out that you have that, you've come in and you're already off the track and you realize you weren't hooked up and you almost panic that you didn't have it hooked up. So I think that we're all very lucky. I know I was lucky coming in 2005 and 6 where all that stuff was really coming in. And I talked to Michael Waltrip all the time. He said, you don't understand, those concrete walls used to really hurt really bad. And so, I'm very blessed to come in the sport when I did. So it's something that NASCAR continues to make changes with our safety. The cars, as much as I disliked them in the beginning, I love the safety aspect of them now because I've taken a few hard hits, Watkins Glen being one of them. So, you take that for granted at times, but when you run these speeds, it's kind of a wake-up call again of what can happen and what's the possibility of happening.
All right, let's go to Bob Pockrass, then to Mike, and then to Joe Menzer.
Bob Pockrass, Sporting News. Have you had any tire issues? Some other guys were complaining about blistering.
I haven't. We ran a complete fuel run on one set of tires, and so we're analyzing that set now. There was some decent right side wear, but I think once the race gets going, that wear will subside. It typically does, and really, as much as I give Goodyear a hard time about their hard tires and everything, when we have these new paved racetracks, they've done an awesome job these last 2 weeks matching the surface to the tire, and that's why ultimately it makes for very fast speeds, but it gives us a car with grip and something we can tune on. So I haven't seen those issues, and I think the race will play out very similar to the way it did in Pocono, to where even though you did see some right side wear, once the race gets going, that will take care of itself, and you're going to see a lot of track position racing.
Go ahead, Mike, and then to Joe.
Yeah, Denny, Mike Pryson with Auto Week. You've had such great success here the last couple years. It's been a really good track for you, but now you come out here and it's totally, redone. I mean, do you still come out here with a good feeling that, hey, we can come out of here good because we've run good here, or is it just so different that you're coming out here just blind?
It's pretty much blind. I mean, I never count on any prior achievements to guarantee myself a good run anywhere, but when we come here, we obviously with the old surface, we had a lot of confidence. We had a great setup for it, but the setups are 180 from where they were during that time. So literally, it took us 2 days to get competitive here this weekend. So luckily, we had that test day, and we've caught ourselves up to speed to where we need to be. So. It's as much as those nice Michigan trophies look in the trophy case now, it's going to be equally hard just to get one more.
Joe Menzer, raise your hand. We'll get you the mic.
Thanks. Joe Menzer, NASCAR.com. Hey, Denny, I'm wondering with Joey Logano, winning last week. When you look at what he's done in the Nationwide Series this year and really in his career. He's had a pretty great year, but why do you think it's taken so long for him to transfer what he's done in Nationwide to Cup? And do you think this is really a sign that he's turned the corner on the Cup side?
Well, I think he's 22 years old, and when I was 22, I was racing late models, and didn't have a clue what I was doing if they threw me up in this level. At that age, and given he's had a head start, he started so early, but it still takes time. And Joey is very, very mature for his age, but still the maturity as far as in off the racetrack and then on the racetrack is two different things. Not that he drives aggressive or anything like that, but it takes a long time for you to realize what it takes to be competitive. The veteran drivers, I'm not a veteran, 7 years, but it's still, we learn every single week of something that we need to do better, and I'm constantly learning every week of what it takes to keep up with the field, and so he being 22, it makes it even harder to do that. It really does, and I think he's done a great job, and he's going to be in the Cup Series and in our sport for a long, long time. There's no doubt about it, and so I think that last week we just saw really the confidence of Joey is what got him in victory lane. When I talked to him during our meetings with Gibbs during our driver debrief, I knew that he was super confident in what he had. And when you drive with that confidence, you see the results that he had. So it's just sometimes it takes a while. Not everyone's going to do what Jamie McMurray did back in the day when winning his second start or something like that. It's just so hard to do it. And now coming in the sport is harder than it's ever been to be competitive. I truly believe that there's 15 to 20 cars that you put out front and they can win the race. So it's he's been given a huge task, and I think he's starting to accomplish what we all thought he would.
Patrick, raise your hand. We'll get your mic there, Patrick.
Patrick Levy, NASCAR Productions. Denny, looking ahead to Kentucky in a few weeks, you were pretty solid there last year. Could you talk about that track as compared to other mile and a halves on the schedule?
It's a lot different, that's for sure. It's going to be the first time we're not at a new paved track for a while. We're going to have some tire wear and whatnot there, so it's going to be fun. I didn't have a great weekend there last year. I think I finished right outside the top 10, but it's it's a fun track, but it's also a very hard track to pass on. But it looked like during the race the groove widened out at that track tremendously. So I'm interested to see how they've changed the track around in the sense of the traffic. But that's a good thing. When you have people fighting to get in the racetrack and it takes hours, that means there's a lot of people in the stands. So I'm not going to complain too bad about that. But it's a fun racetrack to race on, and obviously we would like to be a little more competitive, knowing that our teammate won there last year.
Any other questions for Denny? Front row here, Jim.
Jim Undershaw, Observer. This is a non-racing question, but given your penchant and for inside information in the NBA, I wondered if you had any thoughts on who the next coach for the Bobcats was going to be, since it's down to two, Quinn Snyder and Brian Shaw.
I don't know. I'm still disappointed about Anthony Davis. So I think as the coach is an irrelevant thing right now. So I don't know. I'd like to see Brian Shaw